what's up? I'm Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are
Hard to master,
such as
Distilled, a spirited strategy game by Paverson Games.
Now let's get into Distilled. This is a Euro game in which it's very thematic. You are going to be distilling your own liquors, your own rums, vodkas, whiskeys, gins, brandies. I mean, this game's got it all, okay? And you're going to be buying ingredients. You're going to be doing this really unique and cool press your luck mechanic where you're going to be shuffling up your cards and taking cards off the top, cards off the bottom, which again is very thematic. We'll get into that here in a minute. And then hopefully your end result, what you've distilled, is going to be one of these drinks over here to earn you the best money when you sell it. You're going to be putting it in barrels. You're going to be putting it in bottles. And there's a lot of ways to get points in this game. We're going to cover all those things for you guys and then share our thoughts on this one. But save it to say that this is a very thematic game. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's just dive right into this. What do we got going on in this game, Jeremy?
First off, you must be 21 or older to play this game. Just kidding.
No, you do not.
Just kidding. So, in Distilled, you're going to have a distiller, which would have starting resources such as it'll tell you the coin amount, will tell you what your starting ingredient is, your signature recipe that you really want to try to complete, you know, just for thematic sake. But you also usually get a lot of reward, as in points and money, when you do that, in addition to any starting cards. So with this character here, Jacqueline Booker, you will start with a yeast card. And then each round, at the beginning of the round, she has an ongoing effect that would add a basic water or yeast card to her pantry, because you'll have resources in the pantry and then you'll put them into your washback so that you can distill these different spirits. Now you also start with starting items of a metal barrel and a just generic starting glass bottle. And what you're going to be doing on your turn is that whoever has the first player token will start the purchasing, and you can purchase anything you want with your money. Now, the thing is a basic market, you can only purchase 2 cards, whether that's ingredients or items. And that is important because later you could trade. And whenever you trade, you cannot trade for items, you can only trade for ingredients, because you have to have a yeast and you have to have a water to complete it. So it'd probably be a good idea for me to buy water at some point. Now, when you purchase water, you can look at the top of any one of these decks in the premium and upgrades and the premium item rows, and I can peek at what it is, decide if I want to buy it. If I do, I can pay for it. If not, I can just put it on the bottom. Now, when I take a yeast, I'm going to gain an additional coin. So having extra yeast is not bad. Mm-hmm. Now, you can always distill moonshine or vodka. Now, if you have no sugar, then you're making moonshine, and if you have any type of sugars, you can do vodka. Now, as you go, you can also purchase recipes. So if I paid 2 coins, I could get a bronze recipe, and there are different flights. So this is the starting A flight, but you can have several, and if you get the Africa expansion, and Africa and Middle East expansion, you will be able to have new flights and new things that are going to, as far as spirits and stuff, that you can try and distill. But if I paid 2 coins, right now I could get cachaça or soju. Now I'd put that on whichever one I wanted, and then from now on I can try and complete this in the distilling process, buying what I need. Now, most of these will have some type of cost, but the first 3 cards have 0. Mixed grains are very easy to get, so it may be better to get soju because I could pay 0 next time and try to get 2 mixed grains. Or, I could buy the sorghum and I could put that in there. Now, premium ingredients are great because they're going to give you, points or coins generally, unless it's like turbo yeast, and in that case it would give you extra alcohol, because when you have sugar in your washback, you're going to gain an alcohol card for each one. Now in the future, if you have it here, you can use it as a wild, because I'm going to buy one thing then the next person has a choice until everybody passes. Once you pass, you're out for good. Now, you can purchase equipment or specialists, which will go up here into your distillery, and those will generally give you points at the end of the game, but they also have ongoing effects, like the worm tub is one of my favorites, because when you distill, you're adding 2 additional alcohol cards every time, in addition to what sugars you may have in there. And that's great because, like Van said, you have this push your luck where I'm going to shuffle these cards. I'm going to take the angel share and the devil's whatever off the top and the bottom, the head and the tail end, and that's going to stay in my pantry. And I can use that because in distilling, that's used in the next batch. So I can use those later. But if I pull out the item I needed while I'm having a look, and hopefully I have a recipe that's going to fulfill what I wanted to sell.
Yeah, because some of these recipes, like the Baijiu, needs 3 grains in it.
And you could pull them out.
You could pull one of them out, and then you can't do that. You got to do one of the lesser recipes.
So if you have the money or you have the the availability out here to get it, you could maybe get one of those, get 2 of those, and say you pulled one from a future one. Well, now I have 4. It's okay to add extra.
Yeah.
It just makes that a different quality recipe. Or distilled item that you're selling, which would give you more coins potentially or points. But you want to do that because you want to ensure that you're going to distill what you want. Now, you could be cheap and not do that, but you have a good chance of losing that, and it's not good when that happens.
Yeah.
But you could always make vodka or moonshine if you wanted, and if there's still labels, because when you distill that, you're going to gain a spirit label that you can place whenever you're selling. Now, one thing is that some of these recipes do require you to have a barrel or a clay pot, and they will require you to age them. Now, after everybody's done selling, you would age that item, and you would still take the spirit label, put it on top, but it will go in your warehouse. Now, when you generally do it, you're going to place 1 flavor, but you could get the hog head barrel or whatever, and you could get an extra flavor in there. Now, flavors are good because when you sell them, the more flavors, up to 5, you're going to get more points for those, and you generally only place 1 every round. So the sooner you can do that and age it and then sell it at the right time, you can get more points. And generally, those flavors are going to add money usually, not always, but usually, if they're a good flavor, they're going to add some money, making that, more flavorful alcohol, and that you could sell it. Now, you will need a bottle for each item you sell. You can only distill 1 item each round, but you could sell multiples if you've aged them and you're selling something you just currently distilled, but you would need a bottle. Now, your metal barrel and your glass bottle will always come back. Basic resources are going to go back to the market. Premium things that you use will get placed on the truck, unless it is a bottle, because the premium bottles are going to go on display in your area, and then they're going to have a set collection type of thing at the end of the game. Now, there are also these spirit awards that are going to be out here, and it's dependent on how many players. You'll have 1 more than the player count that you have. And then whenever people have completed this, like this one, sell a spirit worth $15 or more. So if you've done that on that round, well, you're going to get to trigger that and gain the points, moving your piece up on this board. This one, collect spirit labels from 2 different regions. Well, you have a home region, which for Jacqueline Booker is the Americas, USA. So, but if I get a Europe, I sell, say I sell vodka, which your home ones are always for any. That's whiskey, vodka in this case, and moonshine. But I could also sell cachaça, and that's American as well, or North American and South American, the Americas. But if I had this soju and say I made soju and I sold it, well, now I've got 2 different regions, so I could essentially, and other people could take, effect in that. So, but those are the things you're doing. You're trying to distill and age so that you can sell them, gaining points and coins so that you can win.
Have the most points over 7 rounds.
You won't get all the recipes. No. That would be a waste. You don't want to do that. You want to pick ones that are going to go towards your strategy, which could be The gold cards I forgot to grab out. You'll have 3 gold cards, and after the 3rd round, you're going to discard one of those, and they're different for each person. So you're watching everybody else, trying to make sure you have the most of something or tied for the most of something. And then if you do, you can get, 14, 12, you can get a lot of points from those as well. But you also want to complete Spirit Awards if you can, and you want to, age things and if you can and sell them and get different bottles. So that's generally what you're trying to do, and hopefully you can. One thing is when you place your spirit label, you will get the benefit. So you could place whatever you just distilled. I haven't learned how to run this game yet. But right, whatever I just sold, if there's one available, I will get to place it on here. Now, a lot of them are going to give you, all of them will give you 2 points if you don't want to take what it says, but I could take a free upgrade card, which might be very good because it's going to give me generally probably at least 1 or 2 points, and depending on the time of the game, I may want to use that ability more times.
Right.
I could take a free item, a barrel or a bottle or a clay pot. I could learn a recipe. Triggering that at the right time would be good because you could generally save 4 to 6 coins if you use that. You want to really try to capitalize those. So if you see something worth, if you had a barrel for 7 out there, you want to get that. You could get a free premium ingredient. Would be good because the more of those you have, you could sell some really nice vodka with a lot of points if you paid, a lot of money for those premium ingredients. You could discard a card that you had left over to gain something from the truck that had already been discarded that you wanted. You could move your signature ingredient. Well, that's important because if I get this dent corn, well, now I have to have corn to create this straight bourbon whiskey, and mine has to age. So I probably wouldn't learn whiskey because I would rather do this one and build up to this because it's going to get me 8 more points and a coin.
Yeah.
In addition to 4 points from using this specific one instead of buying a general corn to use. So doing that will give you a much greater benefit. And the last one is I could just gain 5 coins or 2 points. Now, if I don't sell in a round, you do have the option to spend points you have. You have to have them to spend them, but for each point you spend up to 4, you can gain a coin that you may need out on the market. So if you're aging, you have that choice generally.
You'll probably want to do it because you don't want to go around with little money. You need money in this game.
You'll need some money, even if it's just a 1, so that you can make cachaça or
So let's get into our thoughts on this one. I'll start by saying I played this for the first time at BGG Con a while back. It was a 2-player game, and I'll admit we got some of the rules wrong. But it was a forgettable experience for me. I did not really care for this game after having played it the first time. I will say it is worlds different for me now. I really do like this game.
You played with someone that knows the rules.
I played with somebody who knows the rules, and I've played at a higher player count.
Yeah.
And I think those things really make a difference in this particular game. Not that this is a confusing or complex game. I do think that there are ways for you to make mistakes in this game, and you really do want to, try to catch those mistakes because they can get, compounded. But I think understanding the rules correctly really will make a big difference in the enjoyment that you have with this game. Let me talk about the things that I really like with this one. I think aside from the push your luck, shuffling the cards, and then taking one off the top, one off the bottom, and seeing what you have left over, I love that aspect of this game, that push your luck, and it's so thematic. It really fits with what you're trying to do with this game, trying to make these recipes, but you're never 100% sure unless you overload those recipes, and then there's no way it can go wrong. I'm absolutely going to get it. And if you can do that, definitely do it. That's such a fun aspect of the game. Aside from that, I love the cards. The cards are so good in this game. What they let you do, how they give you money, how they give you points, how you're trying to incorporate them in your different recipes. the competition for the cards. I mean, everything about this market. I think this is where the game really thrives, is this buying phase.
No.
You don't think so?
The distilling phase.
It is fun,
that's
too.
That's my favorite. Favorite thing about it.
I think those two things work fantastically
together,
together. And then you throw into it, you've got the strategy of trying to figure out how you're going to make your recipes, what recipes you're going to even do, and how you're going to make it work. Like, that's just a fun tiered process of having to try to figure out that puzzle. So there are things that really, really work for this game. There are some things that I'm still a little bit like, I don't think that works. Even after I've come up way high on this game from where it was at, there's still some things that I just don't know about yet. But I'm going to save those for later in the video. Tell us about what you think about this game.
I love this game. I have so much fun. I played this solo several times. I know you're thinking, you play this. Yes, I just like making the drinks. I'm going through all the different flights. I knew after the first solo play, I got to get it all. I got the expansions here now. I've shoved everything in the box. So, and I sleeved everything, which I'll talk about that in a second. But when we do our overall thoughts, but yeah, the gameplay in this, I have so much fun. Just I want to buy this and this and this. I want to make this drink. And I try to look for the new ones I haven't done because I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to make this time. And then I go and I hope something's out there that I can get and try to make it work. And then, I missed it. Or, I got it. And then I'm trying to work for the next one. So for me, just the whole, I have this. I'm trying to get what I want to make this. Did I make it? What bottle am I putting it in? Let's sell it.
Yeah.
And with solo, it's I think quite a bit more difficult than multiplayer because I have to complete one of every row and it's treed off. So if I didn't, if I want to do one, well, that's not above where I just completed. I can swap once in that row, but if I do that, I'm going to have to flip that gold card, and that's going to make my score that I have to get increased by 5. And you'll take that A and that B card that you've completed, and if you don't complete all 5 rows, you lose. If you complete all 5 rows, good job, but if you don't complete the score too, you lose. And it can be, you can have really solid games where you just knock that out based on the cards that come out, and some of them A's are just super hard, and if you don't attack that in the beginning, there's no way you're going to complete them. But you still have fun making the drinks. I just keep going and see what I can make and what new can I make and can I pull it off.
So let me get to I've got 2 things about it that I'm still unsure about with this game. And I'll be honest, maybe I haven't played it enough to get the full understanding of those 2 things. So these things are still pending, still to be determined. But from where I'm at currently on this game, I don't know if they work for me. The first is going to be some of the in-game goals. I experienced this heavily in my first game and still experienced it even today. And that is that there are some in-game goals that you get that there's just absolutely no way for you to make very little progress on making towards those goals. And so, yeah, there's obviously no reason to try to pour yourself into that. But it could be the case that, you start the game with 3, you're going to get rid of 1 at some point after the 3rd round. But it could be the case that 2 out of the 3 that you get are just garbage and that you're just not really they're not going to work for you in any way whatsoever. And so you're already at a disadvantage because there's only one real goal that you can work towards while everybody else may have 3 options available.
You got these 4 that you could try to capitalize.
Even those, though, there are still some of those that may not work so great with what you've got for yourself. Like you just described that this gal right here, America's is her home country, and a lot of those goals have to do with regions, right?
But you can change them though. You can, as a group, say no region ones.
And I would
because there's a ton of them in there,
yeah.
And even in our game, if I got multiples of one or one was geared towards, I was like, let's throw that out because they haven't. So if it's just mine, well, I'm gonna knock it out.
That's what I'm talking about.
I think I think you go into it with each other and say, okay, like this one, collect 2 from 2 different regions. All of us can do that.
Yes.
And the one we had was that I put in there was from 3 regions because it was available for anybody. And the most you're going to get in the base game if you don't throw in the 4th region is 3 regions.
Yeah.
So you're forced to branch out instead of just maybe trying to match up your bottles too much to get all them extra points that way. It's a trade-off.
It's just it seems like it's a fragile kind of thing that some games it could be set up to work well, and then in other games it could set up to not work so well. The other thing that I am not super sure about is the aging system. I enjoy the fact that it's in the thematic part of that is in the game, because that is such a process about distillery and, you know, trying to make some of these alcohols that absolutely need to age. So I like the fact that it's in the game. The experience that I have with it is they're harder to do, and you get more points because they're harder to do. But the penalty that comes with it is you're not getting any reward for it immediately. You're getting it whenever you end up selling it. So whenever you start the process, more than likely the next round after, you're going to have very little to work with. And you may have little to work with for one, maybe 2 rounds after that point. So like if you age in round 4, round 5, you're going to have very little money to work with because you didn't sell that round. You aged. And so round 5 is going to be a down round for you. And if you can't recover from that, then maybe round 6 is too. And so it's just like, it seems like it does reward you, but you've got to pay a price to do it. And that limits the fun factor that I have, because every round I want to sell something. I want points. I want money. I want to feel like I'm being productive. And it feels like the aging process rewards that long term at the cost of the short-term enjoyment, if that makes sense.
Well, there's 2 things. One, if you're trying to maximize to get the most flavors and sell for the most, yes, you're going to hinder yourself. But you only have to age it 1 round.
You only have to age 1 round, yes.
And so, and you could age 2 rounds and still not, depending on how much of your money you spent when you aged, and if you took points away to get the coins, and how much you still have in your pantry, because you don't necessarily, I mean, unless you're doing, you know, the gold levels, you could put 2 sugars and you might still have
it just depends
extra
on,
basic stuff in there.
It depends on how you've played the game up to the point when you do age. There is a chance. It just you got to be aware of that.
Well.
You got to be aware of that if you are going to age your next round, you may not be set up to do well unless you've already set yourself up prior to aging, I guess is how
I think that just adds to the theme, though, because if you go to the liquor store, you got the cheap stuff that probably wasn't aged nearly as long, and then you have the really old stuff that's been there forever, and it's way more expensive, which not only is it more money, which is in the game, but it's also the prestige of it is that, which are the points. So they're name recognition and everything. So,
and those are the kind of the intricacies with the game that as you play it more, you'll learn about those kind of things. I just think that that's going to be the learner's experience a lot of times with this game. And it may be kind of leave you with a bad taste in your mouth, like a bad alcohol probably would.
Well, I mean, and like playing solo 3 times, I knew I would have a better idea of how to do well. Like even vodka, you can have a very powerful round with vodka if you've stacked it with some real like with a good bottle, and you have to use a metal barrel, but there's a metal barrel right here that you could buy for 4, and now I'm getting 2 coins instead of the 1 coin, and I'm getting a point when I use it. And so, and it goes back to my storeroom to use again. So you can make really good, easier concoctions if you're getting the things that you need to do that.
Yeah, so, you gotta pay attention to what's out here in the market.
But the first couple games, I didn't really think about that. And then as I played my 3rd solo game, I was like, well, I can't make any of this good stuff. I'm just going to load it up with all types of sugars because I don't have to get brown. So I could just get this sorghum. It's going to give me an extra point. Flip over the next card on my next turn if nobody's bought it. Maybe I get something that's potatoes or something that's 3 or 4, you know, and then I add those in here. Well, now I'm not restricted. Whoa, there's a cheap fruit. Let's throw that in there.
Yeah.
And you can have a really powerful vodka that's flavorful and getting you all this stuff, and you didn't have to age. I think that's the strategy. Is do I age it and try to get 30 something points because I let it sit there forever, or do I sell it after 2 rounds, or do I not even try? Like, I think it's dependent on the game and what your ability, what your upgrades are.
Yeah.
And what your strategy. You're not required to do those harder.
No.
And yes, it's a couple points more, but it's just kind of, do you want to show that off, or do you want to just keep doing this stuff that's less, or do your goals say you need gold recipes? Well, someone's going to try and do it.
Yeah.
I think you just play into, you have to recognize the market, your style that you're playing currently with your
and the resources that you have in your pantry at the time too.
Because you could stock your pantry and not use it, you know, do vodka for a couple of rounds, still getting stuff, or cachaça or whatever, but then have a loaded out aged thing that you have in there, or you just put what you need and save the rest for the next round and have a really powerful vodka to make up for the aging process.
Let's get to our scores for this one and wrap this video up. I'm going to let you go first because I know how this is going to be off the charts for you almost.
It's not off the charts. We're on a scale here. It's not out of the scale.
12!
No. I really just have a lot of fun. It's got me reading more about the drinks, and every time I post,
it's an educational game.
Yeah, I feel like I'm learning so much about this. I don't know, but I even find songs like Soju that match whenever I post it. I think it's hilarious that there's actually some Aquavit and stuff. So, but yeah, it's got me interested in the process, and I enjoy each time I'm trying to make a new drink, or even if it's a drink that I made in another game, it's finding the right time to make each spirit. And I always want to, and more than likely will, make my signature, just because it's like a challenge. It's a personal challenge to do that while trying to do the other spirits. Just so I can say I did it with each character. I try to do new characters, new fights each time I play it, and so I can see, you know, some might be better than others. Just like I said, some cards might be better than others that come out. But there's so many good cards, and there's 3 levels to the cards, that even though someone got a really good, like Jeremiah got the worm tub. I love the worm tub, but he got it right after I flipped it, and I was like, you're going to have fun with that. That's a really good card. I wish it was out, but I like the one I got too, and it was, you know, now I'll just get this sugar that I really wanted because it's worth 4 points. So for me, score, I'm at a 9.5.
Woo!
I have so much fun.
Have you ever rated a game that high?
Yeah, I think Red Rising was pretty high.
Woo, man.
Bloodborne was pretty high.
Okay.
Scythe's high. But this is one that I just, like I said, I'll break it out and solo it. Even if I find it halfway, I'm not going to complete it. I'm still enjoying, and I'm going to keep trying to get it, even though I know I'm running into a dead end. But just so I can see if I can age that Baiju, or see if I can make that tequila or whatever I'm trying to make, and still, even if I don't get these, maybe I'll beat my high score or something. So
yeah, it comes with a lot of energy for you.
Like I said, after the first solo play, I knew I was like, this is just so much fun to make the drinks.
Yeah,
let me get the expansions. The one thing I will say is the insert for the cards, it will fit all the cards. So even the cask expansion and the cask strength and the Africa and Middle East, it will fit them in there. The problem is if you sleeve everything, they're not all going to fit in there. You're going to have to keep the expansion boxes. And if you just leave the base game, it's still not really going to fit well because the four corners for the inside, the middle of the insert, everything will fit in between. It might push just a little bit, but they would not fit in the corners, even putting them like a couple at a time. And so at that point, I had to make the decision, well, I want to sleeve this because I want to preserve it, because it is, to me, a 9.5. I really like this game. I'm actually really excited for a Luthier now because it seems like it's the same thing, or not the same thing, but a same concept of it's creating instruments in the process of that, like this is creating. And so there's probably going to be some neat intricacy that is another really cool learning idea. But yeah, that's the one thing is I feel like the insert just didn't fit sleeve cards well enough for everything. So, but I just sleeved everything and baggied everything and I kept a lot of the insert, but the card part is gone. Okay. I can't store everything, but now I store everything in the box with the few insert pieces. And I mean, Game Trades did a great job. It's just those, I think it's Game Trades, but the sleeved insert area was not really doing it for you. The best for me.
I'm gonna say I'm a 7.7 on this one, and for me that's the kind of game that you want to get this out on the table, I'd be down to play it. If I see it at game night and somebody says you've got these three options, I'm probably gonna pick that one over the other two. I really do enjoy this game. It is very highly thematic. I think that's the biggest thing that I can think about with this game is that it is highly thematic. And yet it's still Euro-y. It's still a game that has great mechanics built into it. You're going to definitely have to manage your money. You're definitely going to have to figure out a strategy of what you want to do with these recipes. And you better, you can't go too many rounds in this game and just have this mindset of, I'm just going to wing it. Because you got to have something built up that you're working towards throughout the game, whether that be some of those in-game goals or that be just, I find that I'm starting to collect a lot of these plant sugars, so maybe I need to really start going towards rum, or I've got a lot of fruit, so I'm going to start going towards brandy. Like, you got to start building up towards those things, and I like how that works in the game. That you can really kind of pour into something and keep going with it to see just how far it goes. I love the cards out here in the market, the way those interact with everything in the course of the game, how you get points based off of certain things, and then you got to pay attention to the cost, the points, and the money, and then on these bottles also what region they're from. So there's these cards are multi-used in some ways, and I really like that aspect of the game. The only drawback for me really is the aging process and just kind of how it maybe steals a little bit of enjoyment from the following round after that, especially if you're not playing too great. And then some of the in-game goals are a little wonky to me, but like Jeremy said, you can swap those out if everybody agrees, and that probably is a good idea to do when you play this game. So, and then you throw in the fact that that whole push your luck mechanic, that's really such a cool thing with the game too. So 7.7, 9.5 for Jeremy over here. So
I really I wasn't even expecting this one to come to review.
Yeah.
They sent it to us. I thought it was something else coming that as a group order I did for people, and then this showed up. I was like, sorry guys, it hasn't come yet, but I got Distilled. I was like, let me see how it is. And I played it solo, and finally got to multiplayer, and I was like, oh, the game is just so fun. Definitely don't listen to Lance. Go distill something and make some drinks.
I still like it. It's a great game. I'm not saying it's not. So. Well, there you have it. That's our thoughts here on Distilled from Paverson Games. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about Distilled and Paverson Games. If you like this video, please, please, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified of all of our great new content. I'm Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are hard to master. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.